So moving on to the NFC West. Let's do that one. Um, I have, like I said, I have the Rams finishing 14-3, tying the Bucks as the. I actually think no, I have the Rams as the number one seed, but they have the same record. Um, yeah, for the Rams, they're the reigning defending champs. Stafford to Cup with McVay is still going to be dynamic. Now they got Allen Robinson, and then in the defensive, on the defense, you got AD, Bobby Wagner, and Jalen Ramsey, and I just think they're all game changers, and it's going to take a lot to beat this team.
Yeah, no, it's same thing, man. I think defending champions, they come out hot. I think Matt Stafford, another year in the system, it's kind of tough to beat. I got the Rams going 12-5, second in the NFC. I still think, like I said, I have the Bucks number one. And then I got my boys number two. I got the San Francisco 49ers. Don't sleep on them. I think they'll be 11-6, 12-5. I think they're gonna bowl. They got the head coach to put them in position to win. Their roster is deep. They got depth all around. I mean, the quarterback position is the question mark, of course, but they have an insurance policy. They've been good with Jimmy G, so if things go bad with Trey Lance, which they won't, they'll be okay. So I got the 49ers coming in second in the division. I have them going 11-6.
I had the Rams also going 11-6. Man, do you guys really think they're going to have the same health fortune they had last year and years past? Because they've been a team that, especially with the way they practice, has avoided injuries for the most part. But that's exactly what they're going to need in order to make it back to the Super Bowl. Without that fortune, when it comes to health, they're not getting back because of their stars. Would you guys disagree with that?
Again, I when I do predictions before the season, I don't take injuries into consideration because
But
then
this is a team
I
that should be consideration because there's no team with less depth in the NFL. The offensive line loses not only Austin Corbett at right guard, but one of the best left tackles, Andrew Whitworth. This offensive line is sketchy. And I'm about to jump into the 49ers. They have a sketchy interior offensive line, but with Kyle Shanahan, I really have faith he'll figure that out. I don't know if Sean McVay will with the lack of depth that the Rams have. An overall receiver, you talk about Van Jefferson, who's had many issues. He's coming off of surgery. If Cooper Kupp goes down, their season's over. And the same thing with Matthew Stafford. He's had the arthritis, the shoulder issues. There's reason to price in. There is potential this team can have injuries and their year's going to be derailed because there's reason to be justifying that. We've seen it in years past. They have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald in the defense, the best player in the NFL in Donald, and maybe the best corner in Ramsey. After that, it drops off significantly in the front seven. You have Leonard Floyd, you add in Bobby Wagner, who's slowing down. I can't go there with the Rams, man. I really can't. I mean, there's no receiver depth. He takes Tuto Atwell in the second round, made no sense. I'm excited to see what Cam Akers can do if he can figure it out coming off of his torn Achilles. That is one of the biggest things with this team. If he is what he was to end his rookie year, there's a lot to be excited about with that offense. But I just think Allen Robinson's going to need a healthy Matthew Stafford. I think he could be a 1,000-yard guy, but will Stafford be healthy down the stretch for a second Super Bowl run? Because remember, he hadn't even won a playoff game before he came here, let alone went on back-to-back Super Bowl runs. And that last month of the year, and January to February, is always going to be the toughest for any team.
You said aging Bobby Wagner in decline. I mean, the guy had 170 total tackles last year. So, regardless, I think he's not going to be asked to do too much in that defense with Jalen Ramsey behind him. So, I do think the Rams ultimately figure it out. But hearing your stance on them do you have them winning the division?
No, I had the 49ers winning the division at 13 games. And look, I think the Rams are a playoff team, and I have them as the number 5 seed. But when it comes to expecting this team to go back to back, I have a really hard time going there. I love
let's
Stafford. I think he's a top 7 quarterback, top 8. Don't have him top 5. Like you, Brand, you're very high on him, and I get that. I think Stafford has been underrated, and now he's really getting that due respect. And because of that, we're looking at this team as the best in the NFC, but I don't think they're the best team, frankly. I really just
yeah.
I can't go
So
there with
just
this
really,
offensive line.
really, just really quick. I mean, Matthew Stafford was dealing with a tendonitis last year, and he was dealing with injuries last year, and he played through it. He's one of the toughest guys in the NFL. The injury crunch for Stafford have left the barn a long time ago. He's been a model of consistency, minus that 2018 season, I believe, for the more recency. And I don't know how you can say the injury concerns for bring it up for LA, but you don't bring it up for San Francisco. Like you've always talked about, Debo can go down with the workload he gets. The running back room has been injured before, and it can go down again.
Does
I
that
mean,
matter for the Niners? The running back room going
again, I
down?
mean, if you keep again, I don't know. Does it? Can he keep pulling a hat
With
out of
Kyle
hat?
Shanahan, I never have doubt
All
in
right,
that.
then I never have doubt in Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. So I guess we're in that boat. But for me, I have the Cardinals finishing second at 10-7. I think they have the talent on O. The defense does need some work. Kyler and Cliff usually fade towards the end of the season. Hopkins is suspended for the first 6 games, but I do have them finishing 10-7, missing the playoffs. I have the 49ers at 8-9. An unproven quarterback. I have to wait and see on him. But I do love Kyle Shanahan, and I think he is great, a great coach in this league. And I love the talent around the quarterback. It's an unproven quarterback, and I have to wait and see. I don't know what I'm going to get from him. You guys are talking like, well, Justin's talking like MVP candidate.
Can he be better than Jimmy G?
I don't know, because
I have a lot of faith in that, man.
I understand, and that's what we're saying. We don't know, though. We're projecting because we haven't seen a lot from him. We will see. To round off this division, I think we all agree the Seahawks are in last place. I have the Seahawks at 2-15. They need a QB. The O-line needs work. They're a top pick bound. So, yeah.
I would be shocked if the Cardinals won 10 games. They start their season Kansas City, on the road in Vegas, the Rams, then on the road against Baker, and then they're playing the Eagles. They can start 0-5 without DeAndre Hopkins. And like you said, that defense, they're going to have to expect a lot this year, Isaiah Simmons. If he can take that step into the player people hoped he would become coming out of the draft, which was a superstar on that end. And I think down the stretch, it gets even tougher. New England, Denver, Buccaneers at the road against Atlanta, and then on the road against the 49ers. Those last 5 games are tough. And the 3 weeks before that are the Rams, the 49ers, and the Chargers. Those 8 games are split by their bye week in week 13. So, man, they're going to get Hopkins back for week 7, but they're not even, like, in my opinion, I had the Cardinals missing the playoffs, and not only that, I have them at 7 wins? I have them at 8 wins. I just think the defense is nowhere near good enough. And in this NFC West, where the 49ers, I expect, are going to have an elite defense, maybe the best front 7 in the entire NFL, Nick Bosa is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate here. I think with Debo and Brandon Ayuk being out of the doghouse, you have one of the best 1-2 receiver tandems. And my faith in Trey Lance is because he's going to have it all dumbed down for him. With Kyle Shanahan, this will be an elite running game, whether it's Elijah Mitchell, Ty Price. So you look at Trent Williams, who was a top 5 player in the NFL last year at left tackle, an absolute stud. You have Mike McGlinchey, Matt Ryan's cousin, at right tackle. The only concern I have with the 49ers is the interior offensive line, losing Laken Tomlinson and co. to the Jets. My question is Trey Lance. I think he will be better than Jimmy because with Debo, they're going to find ways to put the ball in his hands. With Ayuk, a very similar thing, and you have George Kittle. Now, with the running game as well, it's going to be so easy for him. He has everything a young quarterback will need. And with his rushing ability, man, he doesn't have to be a very good passer. Justin, the more I've thought about it, the more I agree with you. He will have a Lamar Jackson type effect on this team. What do I mean by that? I think he will only improve this running game, which is elite. And at the same time, his threat as a mobile QB that can get out of the pocket and make plays. While at the same time, Jimmy last year was not very sharp. He made a lot of mistakes. I think he can have some of those growing pains, some of those high interception games, and the 49ers defense will be good enough with this rushing attack to beat anybody in the NFL. I had them getting the number 1 seed with 13 wins.
You know, it's crazy that I used to think I was the only one on this Trey Lance train. And here we go. You putting him as the number 1 seed. So I'm just going to say I've talked you into Trey Lance and I've talked Brandon into the Jaguars. And I take great pride in
You've
that.
talked me into the Niners, I think, more than Trey.
Than Trey Lance? Okay. Hey, I'll take it. That's a win on my shelf. So for me, looking at the West, you guys touched on the Cardinals. I haven't yet. I have them going 8-9 as well. We've spent a lot of time talking about them when we did our NFC West episode. I just don't see it. I don't feel like they've improved. You lose a guy like Chandler Jones, you lost a lot. Once you lose a guy like that, you lose a lot. And D-Hop missing 6 games to start the season, that's a big blow. You need to get off to a good start in this league, and especially when you're playing in a division this tough, if you don't get off to a good start, it's already over. Your season's done. So 8 and 9, I have the Cardinals, and then we could talk about the bottom of the barrel here. When you lose Russell Wilson, you lose everything too. And much like that Chandler Jones effect, this is even worse. You lose Russell Wilson, you lose your starting quarterback, you lose your franchise. I got the Seahawks finishing 2-15. I think they're fighting for the number one pick right now. That's really it. I don't got too much to say about the Seahawks. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about a 2-win team.
The hilarity in them waiting to actually address the offensive line until right after they trade Russell Wilson just sums up this franchise. I thought they had a good draft. Charles Cross, offensive tackle. They go Abraham Lucas as well in the third round, another tackle. And Kenneth Walker, who is maybe the best running back in this draft. They got a pick 41. Boy Mafia, defensive end out of Minnesota. I'm a fan of their first 4 picks. They also got Kobe Bryant, the number 2 out of Cincinnati, playing off of Ahmad Sauce Gardner. So they drafted pretty well. You have so much talent on that offense with your number 2 receivers. Noah Fant, he's going to be stuck with not Drew Lock, but Geno Smith. May have been the most depressing quarterback competition known to man. And Pete Carroll's trying to win games, so I guess Geno Smith is the move with his familiarity. But I mean, I guess this is a snooze fest to get CJ Stroud. Is that what the move is for the Seahawks? Because I feel like they actually are going to be, when they get this quarterback, a pretty competitive team. But without him, they have the worst player at that position. At the Niners, obviously winning the division. Rams at 11-6. The Cardinals at 8-9. Out of the Seahawks at 4-13. I think they'll take a few games. Not the Broncos week 1 like I had them initially. I thought that'd be a Drew Lock revenge game potentially. One of his volatile performances where he throws for 270, 300 yards. Fortunately, I have them losing that as well. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see the 49ers this year. And I really just hope the Seahawks can get that franchise. They didn't really treat their last one too well, so I'm not really too sure.
All right. So starting off with the NFC North next.
Oh, real quick, read your standings. I want to
Me?
get you. Yeah.
Rams 14-3, Cardinals 10-7, 49ers 8-9, Seahawks 2-15.
Okay. Rams 12-5. I have 49ers 12-5. I know I said 11-6 earlier, but I got them at 12-5. Cardinals 8-9, and Seahawks 2-15.